Hello and welcome back. 1 second, I have to get my fucking kazoo. Hello and welcome to the operating table. We're your surgeons. Give it to us, Will.
The operating table.
Wonderful. I love that Will always looks just a little bit surprised. Like I feel like you're ready for it, but then I say, give it to us, Will, and you're always, yeah, of course.
Oh, well, you want to hear it?
You have to have a moment before.
Welcome. We're happy that you're here. It's the Dino episode, baby.
I know.
That's also, we have such a nice color scheme going on. I just
that's actually
realized
that's just
We
how Marcus is
do.
gonna tell Welcome about this story is welcome. This is the
welcome.
Dino
It's
episode.
Dino time. This is the Dino episode.
Welcome
Yeah.
doesn't know about dinosaurs.
Not yet.
I bet she knows.
Oh.
I bet she found some fucking books.
That's true.
But yeah, so we'll start with that. I have a question, Will. Why dinos? Hey, William Peña, everybody's wondering, why dinos?
Maya can attest to this. I put dinosaurs in like every single one of my campaigns. They're super cool. It's so much fun that Dungeons and Dragons just has them and like has stat blocks for them and stuff. Because it's not, I don't think, really within the like fantasy canon to have dinosaurs as part of the story, but they just added them in there anyway. And also in numerous ways that we will talk about later, Tybalt is a 10-year-old me. He's definitely the one that I based most off of my own personality and experiences. And I love dinosaurs.
Mm-hmm.
So if I was given godlike control over a small realm, I would probably make dinosaurs fight.
I love that. I love that.
Thank you.
I'm glad that Gaius was like, all right, I'll strike a deal. Because I saw at least 2 other faces be like, yep, great. That was the game that was being like, all right, you want a dino fight? Yes,
Yeah.
Go. Let's Dino fight.
I'll
be honest, I did not expect. I mean, like watching it, there's always a difference of like watching something and being like, oh, this is probably going to be a plot twist coming up, and being in it. Never would have expected, and one of you guys is the dinosaur.
Yeah.
That was fun.
I thought we were all
Dinosaur
have to
was
fight the
coming from
dinos.
inside the house.
Well, yeah, because this combat took many different forms while I was prepping the session, and didn't really come together until an hour before. And I asked Clayton and I texted Maya, like, do you guys have buff spells? Like, if you guys had to be on the sidelines a little bit for this combat, would you guys have stuff to fill 3 or 4 rounds? And I determined, like, yeah, they were pretty good. I did not think through the story consequences as much as I was thinking as the mechanical stuff. I fully thought Gaius was going to be the dinosaur. I 100% thought.
It was between the boys for sure.
Yeah. I mean, when we first said it, I was like, well, I mean, I can't at the current moment with the spells that I had picked at that moment. The only things that aren't directly attacking something would have been fly, which might have been useful. Counterspell, not useful. Warding wind, not really useful. And shield.
Just you.
Which is just me. So I was like, okay, it might be best if I take this one, guys. But I think Marcus taking it makes a lot of sense narratively.
Well, and thank you for letting me take. I appreciated that because
because I also.
You go ahead.
I just knew I was like, okay, I have like 3 open spell slots and I have 3 5th level spells that I'm thinking of taking anyway.
Well, I'm glad it worked out because like because that was my I remember like there was a moment where I was like, oh no, like I hope like Emil or like guys like aren't taking these spells just because of this like combat. But like I think all of us look at stuff beforehand, even if we don't automatically lock it in. So I'm glad that like it worked out that spells people wanted anyways worked for this environment.
Yeah.
Because I think I said last operating table that I've been sort of trying to look at more utility spells and still like martial and combat spells, but like Bigby's Hand, Steel Wind Strike, those are 2 spells I've been looking at for a long time. And Conjure Elementals has been on the list too. So it was just nice to be like, oh, I can hit all 3. I can hit all three. Easy.
I loved the manifestation from the telekinetic push to the Big B's hand. That was very,
Yeah,
like a direct line.
that was very cool.
Yeah. But that's so funny. I love that Will. It's such a good like this is not a jab at all. It's such a DM move to be like, yeah, all right. Like I'm pretty sure like at any moment, if you as a DM are like, I'm pretty sure they're gonna do this. You're fucking wrong. And that's beautiful. That's a beautiful, wonderful thing.
Mhm.
But you have to know that if at any point you're like, I'm pretty confident this is what's gonna go down, you're incorrect.
Yes, absolutely.
But yeah, I say it. Oh, sorry. I say it in the episode. Like, wasn't expecting this solution to Marcus's dilemma, but boy, if I won't take this dark-based solution.
Oh man. Yeah. I'd suppose he could have summoned another dinosaur for you guys to like buff and control, but then it wouldn't have been as fun. I think it was just more
No.
fun. for
I
someone.
really like
No.
that decision.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
I'm curious to Will if you had any idea of which of the dinos we were gonna pick, because obviously you thought it was gonna be Gaia, so that might have an effect. But which one?
Kind of assumed T-Rex. That's why I kind of planted that little. The T-Rex usually wins, but I don't know why I didn't really think of the Megalodon that much. I just didn't consider it. I really was. I think I was thinking about me using it so much that I was just like didn't really consider you guys taking it. I was afraid for one of you guys taking the pterodactyl because it only has 30 HP.
Yeah, that was the one thing where you're like the pterodactyls. I'm like, I don't give a shit about the pterodactyl.
Okay,
Again,
like, goddamn shit.
like not to speak for Gaius, but Gaius has canonically died. Marcus got almost all of his HP wiped out. That was one of the things. I'm like, I'm not taking the weakling. I'm not taking the runt of the bunch.
And then the Ankh was a good little middle ground. You could have done some stuff with the.
Yeah, I almost took it for Jake. That is his
I
favorite
knew that
dino, and I was
Jake.
always
It's also
like,
my favorite dinosaur. So
I was like,
get him in there.
God, the megalodon. Wow, I was like, he's a shark.
Yeah.
Jake, when you're watching this, I'm sorry I made you witness onk on onk.
Onk on
violence.
onk.
Um,
But yeah,
I the one thing about this whole zone, this whole dino area, is I was trying to figure out what is Fey about this. How is this the Feywild still? And I came to the conclusion, and even better than me doing it myself, Clayton and we mentioned this earlier, other people seem to have the same idea, brought up the deal of like, okay, if we do this, then you do this. And that like Fey deals is a classic thing in mythology and folklore. And so I was like, okay, great, that grounds it, and we're still doing this fantasy kind of thing. And then that's when I had the idea for and if you lose, you turn into dinosaurs. Which both
That was funny.
Got my ass.
can you imagine if if we had lost and Sorcerous Origins had taken an insane left turn into us finishing this story as dinosaurs? That's hilarious. That's
We
fucking
show up-
hilarious.
We
Can
show
you
up
imagine?
to Telnar, and
This
they're
is
like, Gaius? Yeah.
Dude, you know that this is a bonus episode content. Like, we have to do a fucking like dino run of like
We've killed
regular
Will.
show. I've ruined Will. I've
Killed him.
of like Regulus being like, so you've still shown up. I don't know what Regulus's voice is, and we're like, yeah.
Would you still
Worm
love me
noise.
if I was a dinosaur?
Would you still love me if I was a dinosaur?
Absolutely, I'd love you more.
She was a worm. He
Ugh,
was
he was a
a
dinosaur.
dinosaur. Can I make it any more obvious?
So yeah, just a good intersection of like things that kids do, things that fairies do.
Well, and
Which is
think, like,
already
well, and that's what I was
Yeah.
gonna say is like I think like I'm glad that the deal aspect happened because that's like very traditionally Fae, but like the Feywild is also like it's whimsy. It's I think a lot of the other thing too is like it's like desire and want. Like it's this place of like yeah, it's rules and but like almost this place of things can come true and like the dreams that you have can come true. And so even without the deal aspect, I think it still would have been okay and been Fae in that like these are the dreams of the child, which is like, what's more fey than the dreams of a sleeping child, a sleeping babe. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's very fun. And we mentioned this last time, but like, it's such a fresh take. It's so nice. Like, you know, it really is like to be in all these spaces. I said it before, but like, so much of the Feywild is very like there's a foundation for it in Wizards of the Coast. There definitely is. And it's not that you can't stray from that, but a lot of Feywild has like, you know, a lot of common denominators, which is totally okay, but it makes it really fun to come into autumn and be like, there's it's dinosaur autumn time. That's what autumn means here. Like, it's very fun.
Good.
I've been thinking about that too, because I've run the Feywild at least once. I've definitely run it more than once, I think. And
you had a character in another campaign that was very much, I think, a Fey.
you're right. Yes, I had a character who was directly from the Feywild. But it is that sort of the game I just ran the Feywild in is like an established setting. So I personally, as a DM, find myself falling into the trap of like, I can't stray too far because this is like official canon, which is a pitfall, but also like there's stuff to pull on. So props to you, Will, for just reinventing the Feywild.
Yeah.
And I think this was said last operating table, but this is an entirely unique Feywild, and it is
It's very
very
fun.
cool.
I appreciate that. That's the opportunity that this space story concept gives me, is like the world is being invented as we go. Yeah.
And then we get into the actual combat of it, which was very fun. Maya, I'd love to hear any thoughts and fun moments that you enjoyed. I love she jumps into the water. It's so good.
Thank you. Yeah, that sounded too much like a talk show voice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
yeah.
You really
Yeah.
inspired me to go into the water.
Back to you, Maya.
Thank you. Thank you, Clayton. No, it was a really fun time. I thought it'd be fun to jump into the water because she's always has her scales makeup on. And also I just thought the vibes of it were funny.
I was so excited when you cast Dragon Breath. I wanted that so bad. That was one of the things that really tipped me towards running this combat. Was like how are people gonna be able to do fun things? And I thought about a dinosaur breathing fire or acid or whatever. And I was like, no, we gotta do this. We gotta do this.
Yeah, that was the only thing I was like super sure of doing in this fight once you mentioned that someone was gonna be dinofied.
What spell were you gonna cast when you were preparing for
it was hypnotic pattern. I was gonna get him stuck so that Marcus could jump and eat him.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, I still ended up doing it. So
but yeah, like we mentioned, like a lot of new spells in this combat, which makes sense because we just had the level up and combat is often a place for new spells to come in. But we had the steel wind strike.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Whatever it is
That's
called.
such a fun spell.
Whatever anime bullshit it's called.
18 d6 bludgeoning damage.
I'll tell you, there was a good 3 seconds where I was like, maybe I should dimension door me in this dinosaur 500 feet. And I was like, I'm probably gonna die because of that. I won't do that.
Yeah, no, that was very cool. And the big bees and the summon elemental. Gaius had a lot of his new stuff.
Yeah, Gaius was a good one.
That elemental is still out there.
It's
out
probably
there
gonna pop up
for
when we're
an hour,
sleeping.
and then he's gone. He's only there for an hour, but there's
Oh,
still.
okay.
I'm excited for the arc. I'm excited for him to get summoned again, like later in the campaign, and for there to be new emotions around that.
Hey,
Growth.
Will, here's going to be a little bribery to not kill Gaius again. I can, at 5th level, if I cast it as a 5th level spell, I can summon any elemental of challenge rating 5 or lower, including a Jorn.
Oh, that's very good. Jorn are my favorite monsters. Yeah. Well, a good point in your favor, Currie.
But yeah, I enjoyed being a shark. I was just talking to Jake about this. Like, I'm playing a rogue in another campaign. I'm having a very good time. The campaign is very fun. I love my character. I'm in combat now without any spells.
Mm.
And like I did realize like, oh, you're firing that crossbow every round, like so like I know just like my play style sometimes, like with the pure, like especially range fighters, like I can kind of struggle with like I'm feel like I'm not doing as much, or I feel like but with that being said, playing like a full caster and having all of these options in my arsenal every combat, and then having one combat where you're just a shark, great, amazing, awesome. Like it's like when you get that breath of like, I'll just fucking bite him, dude. Like, I'll just bite him. I'll dragon's breath and bite. That's what I'm here to do. So it was very fun. And again, like we talked about this, but I do think that was a weight off of Marcus's shoulder. Granted, he's the last one who wanted to be turned into a dinosaur, but was also like, I don't trust my magic right now. Like I cannot put trust in this resource that I have. And so I think it was good. I think it was good for him. I think it was good for me. I had a good time.
They're not here, but shout out to Sydney this combat. Both
Yeah,
girls
shout out to
putting
Sydney.
so much stuff and putting up with my bullshit as Tybalt.
That was such a fun little like
That was really
relationship,
cute
too. And I love like Emile being an only child, and I so love we talk about it, but I love Emile being like, okay, like well I wish you hadn't forgotten to tell me that, but like we'll keep going. And again, I say it that like Marcus, who's got 6 siblings, would immediately be like, what the fuck do you no, we're not doing this. I'll wrestle you right now. Like
Avalon straight up was getting beef with this child. She was far away, so she couldn't do anything, but she was getting upset.
I love that. Well, it's like it's your kid, so I feel like you're like Tybalt.
No.
Fully based off a real thing of how I would play the Pokemon trading card game with my siblings, with my sisters, of being like, well, like I don't need to play the energy cards, but you guys do.
William,
I was a little kid.
yeah.
I'll comment on changing the rules too. I don't remember this, but I was an only child. I am an only child. I have a stepbrother. But he's 10 years older than me. But I would play a lot with my grandmas, who are very competitive, obstacle courses, and then be like, the end route is this tree, and I'd be like, that's the wrong tree. It was actually that tree. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Well, and also
that's how we became actors, the most deceptive profession.
Shout out the most sinful, and shout out to Cleo as well. I mean, it's like it's one of those things where because Cleo's the healer, and like it's great to have the healer, but like I've played healers before. That's another thing. That's another role that, and then this is not to speak for Sarah at all, but like in my experience, sometimes when you're like, oh, I feel like I'm just like casting, like I'm just healing people or but what I'll say is like that was very helpful, like to Marcus. It made sure that Marcus was still up, and then I loved the invisibility. It's so funny to have an invisible shark
I want to have
like
fun.
jump and then like spring into being. Just absolutely having.
I loved your reaction as Tybalt to that too.
Oh
yeah,
a beautiful game. It's just massive.
Well, and I love like that. I'll comment just very quickly on that little moment where like it's very nice when DMs give players credit and give players victories. And I don't mean give as in like, it's not earned, but the Feywild has been like we've had victories here. And I think that's really important to these characters. And it's so nice when like, because again, Tybalt very easily could have been like, whoa, like that's a coward's way out, or like and I love when like a DM's instinct is to have NPCs have the world around them be like, whoa, that was cool, you did a cool and good thing, because that feels good for both like character and player. I don't have just kidding, I found it. Hello, welcome to the mid-operation smoke break. Don't smoke, don't do it. But after that long, God, are we gonna save them?
No.
What's the point?
One's in the gutter.
You are both not smoking cigarettes right now.
I'm smoking a very tiny one. I'm smoking a very
Oh, okay.
minuscule
Okay. Sorry.
one.
I didn't see that. My bad. My
Yeah,
bad.
I'm actually you go and then swallow it.
Riley, was
but-
that even lit?
No, I don't like them lit. But for real, don't smoke. But
Yeah. Not
uh
tobacco.
today, the activity that I've prepared for you, I actually will need screen sharing for this one.
Oh,
in fact.
shoot. Okay.
Whoa.
So this one is
Oh.
called akin to Pin It on the Donkey, Pin It on the Sorcerer, where I will be showing you an image and you will tell me which character's Pinterest board it is likely on.
Oh, very cool.
Are
Oh,
these
that's so
harvested
fun.
from our Pinterest boards?
Yes. I went
I'm not
in-
going to look at my Pinterest board because that'd be cheating, but I forget
It-
what's on there.
I know
Oh, God.
everything on my Pinterest board.
So we're gonna start probably a little bit simpler, and then we'll go in difficulty probably. There can be repeats, just so you know. And we're gonna go ahead and start. We'll
Wait,
go,
we're writing this down, right?
yeah, write them down because we'll go through all of them first, and then we'll do the answers.
Okay.
Or maybe we won't. We'll see how I feel pacing wise. So this is your first one, and I'm gonna assume that the audience can see it as well.
I can't see.
I can't see
Oh,
it yet.
Currently, it says Marcus
damn.
Prosperous. He him has started screen
Yeah.
sharing.
I don't know why I can't see it.
Can you
Oh, yes.
now? Can we see it? All right.
Yes.
Yes.
So just know that
Oh.
technical difficulties. All right.
Okay.
So this one is our first one, and you know what? We are gonna do it one by one, I think. So everybody, go ahead and think of an answer.
Oh, this is actually really tough.
Locked in.
I will give you 5,
Locked in.
4.
Locked in.
Okay, awesome. So we'll go to the next one. I'm flipping back and forth. I'm feeling the vibes. Next one.
Can I ask a question that I hope
Mhm.
these are specifically for PCs, right?
This is on a character's board.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, that makes me suspicious now, but I'll be completely candid. I go on everyone's Pinterest every now and again because I love looking at everyone's. And Will, I've gone on yours. I don't remember. But maybe
I'm gonna say
Yeah.
3,
Hmm.
2,
locked in.
1. Everybody locked in?
Yep.
Locked in.
All right. Next one. We're getting into the trickier ones.
Yeah, this is. See, all of these are like it's one of two people. I'm never like, oh, it could be Bam Bam or Bam. It's always like it's this person or that person, and I cannot decide.
This is the only
Locked in.
locked in.
Awesome. All right, next one. Tell me if you can see this properly. This is a Softer World comic. As you and me will die the way we lived, telling ourselves stories to make it mean something.
Oh man.
I don't know if this is correct, but I know whose Pinterest board I would put it on.
It's also I tried to. A lot of the pins are bummers. I'm not gonna lie. A lot of the like not obviously like immediately obvious ones. I was like, oh, they're going through it. All right. Can I go on to the next one?
I'm locked in.
All right. This one made me chuckle.
Hmm.
Once again, could be a lot of the bunch.
Yeah.
Some might say it could be any of the bunch.
I don't know if this one's right.
I definitely got most of these wrong, I think.
Yeah. I don't
And
know.
I'm
this
locked in.
is the last one.
See, this feels so.
Mm-hmm.
I'm afraid that you throw me.
Mhm.
a loop.
Oh,
This one this one should be obvious.
it's a dirty little trick.
It's a Feywild trick. All right.
I'm so bad at this.
Yeah.
All
okay.
right. I'm gonna go in order. Will, give it to me.
Avalon.
Maya,
Avalon.
Clayton.
Avalon.
That is indeed on the Avalon Valerius board. That is
Cool.
1 point for all of you.
There was a temptation to do Cleo, but the red
Same.
list
Yeah.
drew towards Avalon.
For this
All
one
right.
was Avalon or Cleo, and I just went Avalon.
This next one, Will.
I wrote Augustus. I don't know who has an Augustus board. I don't.
I have an Augustus board.
Okay.
Maya,
Gaius.
Clayton.
See, I said Augustus, and I totally could have just forgotten this was on the Gaius.
This is in fact on the Gaius board.
Really? All right. I need
Yeah,
to
I'm pretty
look
sure
at my
this is also
Pinterest.
on my Bertie Callahan board. For whatever that means to anybody out there.
I'm gonna go look for it.
But yes, it is indeed on the Gaius board. This next one, William.
Marcus Prosperous.
Maya.
Cleo.
Okay. Clayton.
Marcus Prosperous.
Yes,
Cleo was the
indeed.
other option.
It is Marcus Prosperous.
I was between both of them. I thought I remembered your complete aesthetic though. All right. I was
Riley, you just love the classical art. You love the.
I put that, listen, I have the shrine. I have the Marcus shrine back there. Next one, Will.
So this is 4.
Yeah.
Avalon.
I put Marcus.
Okay.
I put Emil.
It is in fact a meal.
Yeah, Emil was my other one.
That makes a lot of sense.
That does make
Yeah.
sense.
I know.
This is
most
on
of the
my bad
stories-
end board. I do have a general bad end board,
General
just where I
bad end?
put any angsty pin that I find for later use. But no, this is on the Emil board.
Maya,
the
Maya
stories.
loves text. Maya loves text on her Pinterest boards.
That's
I
true.
do love text. I made a separate words one that's
Will, who's this one?
Cleo, it doesn't feel like the aesthetic, but it feels like Sarah. That was weird.
It's they're similar enough. Maya,
Gaius.
Clayton.
I said this is number 5, Marcus.
This is on Cleo Meliora's board.
Damn.
I love it. It makes me laugh very much because it is surrounded by like angel wings and like eye imagery and like things about like history and stuff. And then there's this one random Michael Scott screenshot that gets me every time I look at
I
it.
love so much.
Before we move on, I'm at 3. I'm at 3 right answers.
Yes,
I'm at
you and
1.
Clayton are at 3. And Sarah, no, Maya's at 2. This is the last one. Will.
I think this is you're attempting to throw us off. I'm going with Emil. I'm on Emil.
Okay. Maya,
I'm also on Emil.
Clayton.
See, I went the other way. I immediately thought Emil, but I'm gonna go Welcome.
So, fun fact, this is on William Patrick Peña's Junkrat board. On
From
his,
Overwatch?
this is on Will Peña's Junkrat Pinterest board.
First question, why do you have a Junkrat Pinterest board?
This
You
was
don't
my-
play Overwatch.
My Junkrat Pinterest board is the first Pinterest board I ever made. And I made it in the exact same style as my girlfriend Lauren makes her Pinterest boards about all of her characters. So it's kind of a parody, but then it turned out to be really fun. So I got into it.
The moment I saw this on the board, I was like, I'm putting this man on blast. I'm putting this man on blast for having his Overwatch Pinterest board.
You'd be surprised by the results you will get if you look up Junkrat.
I'm actually not surprised at all. I don't doubt that there are Pinterest bitches out there like, oh, Junkrat. There's actually like how there's a Mickey head at each ride in Disneyland. There is a Junkrat in every single Sorcerous Origins episode.
It's
so.
me. I'm Junkrat.
Wow, look at him go. But yes, so that was pitted on the sorcerer. We have a 2-way tie between William and Clayton. Well done, well done.
Yay,
Oh,
good
so
job.
that wasn't anyone. That was just to throw us off.
This was on the Junkrat Pinterest board. This was on a character Pinterest board, and that character was Junkrat from Overwatch.
Could you imagine if that was my guess? I was just like, actually,
I'm getting a lot
this
of
is-
Junkrat vibes off of this for some reason.
listen,
Uh,
I've been in a Junkrat mode lately. He is my main in Overwatch, but I had a game today where I had 43 eliminations and over 20.
It's a good Pinterest board. I don't know about
It's a
that.
good Pinterest board. Fun
It's-
fact, that two-handed one is actually both on the Junkrat and the Emil Pinterest board.
Of course it is. Of course it is.
A beautiful
Well,
overlap.
that concludes our smoke break. Time to get back in there and save some
Wait,
lives.
real quick tangent about the smoke break. I'm sorry, Riley. I do realize now my Pinterest board is so hard to find anything for that specific minigame. It's all so obviously Gaius.
That's what I was like. I'm gonna go with the wolf. I'm gonna go with the wolf because it's like it still feels like it's probably Gaius because like he is the PC werewolf, but it could be Augustus.
Like all of this is
Gladiator
just who
symbolism.
else? Gladiators and lightning and
Mm.
Just Bolin. I
But,
wish Bolin would just come up.
but yeah, so we'll
Yay.
get back into it. Let me pull
Yeah.
this up. The chameleon was I'm
chameleon?
curious because we've got the chameleon, we've got the moth, and you don't have to tell us this if there's like more to find out in game or if we're gonna find out more, but like I'm really interested about the like magical consequences of that because if we have all these classes across the world being made. We have sorcerers being made, we have wizards coming up, and now there are these kids who seem to have these like entities around them.
Mhm.
Is that like a warlock style thing or is it something less mechanical and just like the a narrative thing? I'm curious about that if you can share.
It's definitely less mechanical. I'd say if you wanted to explore that more in game, you definitely could. But it's not something I'm trying to like draw a ton of attention to. It's not
Mhm.
like look, go down this path and try to figure out what it is. The Feywild. Give me a second to figure out. When the kids got there, they had got power, right? And we've seen that especially with Arya, but also now with the dinosaurs. And they don't get that power directly, but it is channeled through them, and they have a say in how it's used. And that's what these animals kind of represent.
Mhm.
And yeah, the chameleon, I just like the lizard kind of part of it. And I didn't want to draw a ton of attention to it because I just really liked how the moth went, and so I don't think they both needed equal attention.
Yeah.
One was just kind of here, and then you did it, and it kind of just crawled away.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And similar to Arya, who now has the wings and can fly. I don't know if this is something you can talk about. Is Tybalt gonna get anything from a gift of the chameleon?
he go invisible.
I'm gonna leave that up for later.
That's what I thought.
What comes next?
I'm curious. So was the beard thing just like his version of the adult thing?
Yeah.
That's what I figured. I just
Just
wanted to
wanted to-
check that this isn't a 10-year-old with a biological
He just-
full beard.
But he doesn't have any kind of like consciousness of his body, really, like,
He's a kid.
and so, but he just wants a beard, he's like, can I grow a beard? And he got a beard, and he's like, sick.
Yes. Yeah, but I love that too because it's the different vibes of the siblings from like Arya, who's very clearly like putting thought and energy and emphasis into like this persona.
Is Arya the eldest?
Arya's the youngest,
The
actually.
youngest.
You guys are going youngest to oldest. Tybalt's the middle,
Right.
and then there's a 12-year-old trio.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So we get the chameleon, we finish the combat again, very fun combat. I always love, I'll say this briefly, I love non-standard combat, and it's Will had texted earlier like, do we want to do a normal combat or a weird combat, and within seconds everybody was like either like, yes, we want to do weird, or like, oh, weird, how did I like immediately like it. I love Murph from NADPOD always does a very good job.
Riley in that series of texts said Murph it up.
Yeah, I said Murph it up. He did such a good job at like differentiating combats, and like this felt really, really good of like, it's a combat, but it feels different. Because again, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Combat, I think, is the part of this game that is most susceptible to disengagement and to, you know, losing some of that like magical touch a little bit, you know. And so it was really fun to do a very fresh take on combat. But we finished that up, and I'm so glad that you jumped. Maya's such a smart player. I'm so glad that you like set up the Avalon jumping into the thing with the reason of like, I'm gonna cast this spell on Marcus, like that's her reason. But I love that Maya knows that the reason is to get the scales showing, because I know I, as Marcus, like both me and Marcus have been waiting for a moment like that to happen, to tell you that you're beautiful, you know, and that like and so I really liked that moment. And Avalon seems to she's making some progress.
She's definitely making some progress. She'll probably be making more. She's on a journey of self-discovery. And but I did also love that moment, and I do love the this is the second time that Marcus and Avalon have done a little nudge back kind of playfulness that I think is really fun, because I think also for Avalon, like she'll do that with Marcus, because whether or not she wants to admit it or not, she like loves him, and so she'll
yeah,
let her guard down a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean, like, you know, we joke about it because it's a kind of, you know, there's a comedy to them, and that they can be so awkward because they're both like really learning to come out of their shells. But like, I keep having these weird moments where like Marcus reaches out, and I'm like, oh, I didn't think you'd get here in this moment, but here you are. And like that was one where like, you know, Marcus like reaches out and like puts his hand on your arm, and you reach back, and like I really like, he loves you as well, like very much, and it's I love seeing them grow together.
Yeah.
And then we had a nice Gaius and Tybalt talk.
Yes. Oh, my favorite.
That stemmed because obviously he was creating his own rules as we go, and Gaius likes sportsmanship. There's a lot of backstory reasons for that. But one, Gaius just doesn't really, not that he was cheating because it's his own game, but like, it felt appropriate. Yeah, it felt appropriate to just go and be like, hey, you're a good competitor. No one wants to play with you if you don't play fair.
Yeah, and that felt so, because one, Tybalt, like, I mean, I didn't say it because I couldn't find the words that would make sense for Tybalt to say, but like very much admires you and knows who you are as an athlete and as a performer. And so to have you like come up and say these things in a very adult, almost fatherly way meant a lot to him. It meant a ton to him. So.
And it helps too that Clayton has had to give you that conversation during Pokemon games and really just sit you down and be like, Bill, you're a great competitor, but you know, it's like nobody's gonna want to play if you tell me that only I have to use energy cards. So
yeah, it was like I was playing my second ever game of Magic. Jake played my first game with me. Will played the second. Will was trying all these dirty tricks. He was like, and here's my Uno reverse card. And I was like, Jake warned me about this. That's not a card, William.
This guy who used the Black Blade before, just I don't know.
Sorry,
no. And then we have that go team moment, which also it felt really nice. Like I love these spontaneous moments of like, again, like love and camaraderie, like are really nice. It's like, you know, you put your hand on me, I put your hand over you. I love Emil automatically, and I don't know, I hope that people catch it, because there was a few people talking, but Emil says like, I go in like mostly for the friendship, but also because they still kind of have a crush on Avalon.
Yeah.
But like Emil's hand goes there, which immediately makes like Cleo's hand and Guy's hand like go there, and like I think it's I really love that moment of like, this is a team, because at the end of the day, these were still 5 strangers who have only technically known each other for a month. And so it's nice to still find those moments where like, these people are growing closer to each other. And that felt like a good one.
Yeah. I also feel like that might be, it's part of the environment too. I think that's one of the ways in which Feywild kind of helps, in which I think that's something we might joke about doing if we were on the Prime material play. It's like, and I put my hand in, but because we're in such an absurd reality right now, everyone feels comfortable like taking it up to the next.
Yeah. Well, and not even on like that level of like, like we can take it to the next level, but also just like this world is safer than the world that we are in. And like when you have walls up, like it is harder to connect with those people. And so like we still have a job to do, we haven't forgotten about Telnar, but to be in these moments where it's a kid asking you to a tea party or to play Dino Wars, even if that's an exasperating thought, which, it is for Marcus. The initial thought is like, oh my God, like, please, can I just sit down? Can I sit down? Not even 24 hours ago. This thing is happening, but like it allows, I feel like, these characters to, like you said, like let the guard down enough to like let people in easier than it is when like Regulus can pop up at any moment, easier than the goo can pop up. Like the Feywild has been a very nice rejuvenator, I think, for these characters. And the last bullet point I have on here is volcano angst. Ehu.
Ehu indeed.
You keep throwing them at me, and I know that it's not on purpose, and that's what's so crazy, is that this was all dice rolls. Is that this was all like, I happened to roll the elemental plane one, and I happened to roll fire, and it's fucking crazy that like it keeps coming up.
Like, falling into the sun, and then the volcano now. The volcano now, I thought about it. I was like, oh shit, because I know that will bring it up for Marcus. And it's one of those moments of like, how much does the world conform to the characters and the players, and how much does the world already exist regardless of what the players are doing and what they're up to. And I decided like, I'm gonna lean towards this kid has a dinosaur world and he wants a volcano there, and he doesn't know what's up. So no, and I mean, I it's one of those things where it's like, I as a player am comfortable with that being a thing, because it's a slightly different thing, but we've talked about this in combat, about how like a lot of the times in D&D combat, like damage gets shrugged off. It's like it becomes numerical. So it becomes like, you take this amount of damage, and then it's like, okay, awesome, and we move on. And again, like this is the first time that something like that happened to Marcus. I think I'm glad that it keeps popping up, because I think it gives it this weight of like, especially since this is the first time any of this is happening in the world, it means it's like you don't get to put it down that fast. Like you have to work through it. You have to just deal with it in a way that D&D can sometimes, because it's stuff that we get used to. The fire plane very much could have been about taking that damage and then being like, that sucked, and then like that's it. But I like sometimes like that pain, it's not just damage, it's pain. And like taking that somewhere is fun. And it allowed me, like, I'm very excited because the volcano being there allowed me to kind of like start going in the direction that I know Marcus is going to go in the next few episodes, of like, suddenly that sketchbook is back in his pocket. Like not actually back, but suddenly his attention is on it. And like that pain is reminding him of this source of his magic, and is going to impact some of his actions. So I'm glad that it keeps coming up.
even though I want to kiss him top of forehead, give him warm glass of milk, and tuck him into bed. But yeah, so that is the last little bullet point. On to the viewer question.
Yes.
We'll wrap it up. The question is, how do you get into character and / or the headspace for telling this specific story? And that is from Ben. Thank you very much, Ben. We appreciate
Ben.
it.
I need a second for this one. I need to think about it.
I'll go first in that, like, I have the fucking like improv background, like that's the like world that I don't do too much prep for like before a session in terms of playing, just because like a lot of the time I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how Marcus is going to feel about something until it's happening, and I have to like sit there and just know enough about the character and be in the shoes enough to react in that moment. So I'm very like in the moment, we're just going to see what happens, and a lot of that is going to be character motivated, and if it feels weird, then we justify it later. We justify the character through that. On days like I had like an interview today and there was some other stuff going on, so I was like kind of frazzled, and on days where I do feel like I need to get into the space, I'll usually just put on his playlist, just because it just reminds me of like, okay, this is the character, this is stuff that's happened to them, like here we are, I'm listening to Go Home by Angel Olsen, like I know what's up, and that's usually enough of a nugget to then go in and just react in the moment.
I can go next. Gonna be kind of boring answer, very, very similar to Riley. I don't do a lot of prep. I just kind of sit down, and once we hit that intro, I'm like, okay, back in Gaius Maximus mode, which for me just means like, okay, just kind of be Clayton, but if Clayton wasn't afraid. That sounds weird, but like Gaius is more of a daredevil than I am. Gaius is more like, just go out and have fun, enjoy it. So I'm just like laid back and do it. Similar vein as Riley said, if I feel I need to get into that headspace, if I'm like distracted, I got Gaius season 2 playlist. Just pop it on, be like, okay, 3 or 4 songs, I'm in.
Yeah.
Maya.
I can go next. Yeah. Golly geez, gonna be kind of similar. I will say most times I actually do pop on Avalon's playlist when I can, and listen to it. Not too conscious. I don't know how much it does to actually get me into character, but I like having a reminder of the things that remind me of her, in that playlist. And then something I also don't do every time, but have done in the past and probably will continue doing, so like doing like a little monologue when I'm like driving to myself.
Oh, I love that.
So I'll do
Yeah, I
a
do
monologue
that
in
all the
character
time.
as Avalon, and then I'll get into, and then, but that's all hours before. I don't really do anything like I don't have a moment before or anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I feel like the three of us 3 players are the ones that are, I feel like Sarah and Sydney are the more, I listen to my playlist, I do my little rituals before a session. And obviously I can't speak for them, but I know Sarah listens to music during session sometimes.
Yeah. Well, and Sarah also like has that backstory that is like written out, which is something that I don't do as much. So that's all very, very good.
William,
real quick, I think just to get into like DM headspace, which is how I'm gonna approach this question, I also listen to your guys' playlists.
You were doing it today, and I literally texted you and I said, I can't help but notice that you were listening to Animal by Sir Chloe, and it has shifted to I'm So Tired by Fugazi.
Because I think one of my insecurities as a DM is like, am I doing what my players want? Am I doing like this is what they want? And for somehow listening to those playlists reminds me of like the tone that each person cultivates around their character and how I can adjust to that.
oh god.
And then I like to look over my notes right before, and it's turning the switch of like all of my Dungeons and Dragons rules knowledge goes to the front of my head. It's usually kind of simmering in the background, but now it is here, I know who are the characters I'm going to play. I have a very vague idea. It usually takes me a couple sentences to like get into who is this person. And yeah, I'm like, this is where we start. This is kind of where I want to end. These are some of the beats in the middle. Yeah.
Between Will saying that, Maya saying she goes on the Pinterest board sometimes, and Riley harvesting from Pinterest boards, I need to like go through and re-update all my character stuff.
Yeah, who knows what I'll go through next for the next smoking break?
Mm,
Your
excellent.
homes?
That's
Can
exciting.
you imagine? I'm like, which shirt does this belong to?
What episode?
Oh my god, that'd be really good actually. Is an outfit thing. We'll think about it.
Who wore it best? Maybe, I don't know.
But that is it for today's operating table. It was a success, as it always is at this hospital. 100% success rate. Thank you so much. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Dice Operated. Subscribe and like, and also comment and share it with people.
If you got a question for our listener question section, we appreciate it.
Please
go to those places or diceoperated@gmail.com. We really love hearing from you. So that is it. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Ta-ta.